Welcome back to theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Again, that website address is www.theclinicaltrialsguru.com. And thank you for sending in these questions through email. It's Dan at theclinicaltrialsguru. I'm trying to get to all of them right now, and I'm pulling one up right now. It's actually a good question, and I'll keep you anonymous. So, it's actually a good question. This is an MD who's a sub-I, and he wants to be a PI, and he has short experience in research. He just has a few studies as a sub-I. I'm just reading from his email. So he says, "Hey Dan, in your own experience, do you think sponsors and CROs are willing to accept an MD with short experience in research as PI? I just have a few studies as sub-I, and I've been involved in research for around 13 years. I have SOCRA certification, CCRP, CCRC, with ACRP, CRA, and with KRC. And will be the coordinator, and that's a lot of acronyms, so you clearly qualify. For those who don't understand, clinical research is all about acronyms. There are so many acronyms. I'm sure the same is true for other industries. It just happens that I work in this industry, but we certainly have a lot of acronyms. And okay, so I digress. And I plan to be on being the coordinator. Our PI, who is very enthusiastic and excited to work as PI, has just a few years working as a sub-I. We have been completing a lot of surveys, applying with every single SMO, CROs online for more than 6 months now. I did just buy your DVD, How to Get More Studies. Thank you for that. That's going to help you get more studies, by the way. There are so many things you can do in that 95-minute DVD. I mean, I packed it full of strategies. So basically, your question is that every time you complete the survey, you get the impression that they always take for granted that the PI has previous experience. And I honestly answer no when he has no experience. I wonder if one day a sponsor will be willing to accept a PI with short experience. Unfortunately, I think the experience is something you cannot get around. I think what you're doing as a sub-I is good. I think you need to just add as many studies as you can as a sub-I. I also think you need to conduct as many study assessments as a PI would. You're obviously qualified, you're an MD. So conduct all the assessments that the PI is conducting. And what you can do, here's a strategy you can try. This might get your first study. It might give you your first study as PI. Take a study that you already have, an existing study, where you're the sub-I, and enroll, do a very good job at enrollment. Make sure that there's very few mistakes, no protocol deviations. Make sure you guys are enrolling, recruiting a good amount of subjects, retaining them, and then conduct all the assessments that the PI conducts. Make sure you're in the delegation of duties logs for all those assessments. Then call the sponsor or have the PI do it with you. Make it a conference call and say, hey, we'd like to switch the PI from me to you. And explain to the sponsor why. Say, look, I just don't have the time. This individual has been doing all the assessments. He's more than qualified to do it. We've been doing a good job so far. If he becomes PI, he can enroll even more than we were with me as the PI because he's more able to focus on the study and dedicate more of his time to the study than I would. Just something like that. Something along those lines. Hopefully they say yes, then you can become a PI. And then in many cases, that's really all you need. They just want to know that you've had previous experience as a PI in order to get new studies. So that first one's always the hardest one. After that, it becomes that much easier. So make sure you get that first study under your belt as a PI. If that doesn't work, just hustle really hard. When you're doing these study surveys, make them come out to visit your site and then propose to them the question when they're at your site for the site selection visit. Hey, I know we've completed the survey under this PI, but do you think it would be a problem if we can actually conduct it through me as the PI? And here's a list of 10 reasons why I think that would benefit you and why I think that would benefit this study. And make those honest reasons, legitimate reasons. It sounds like you're dedicating a lot of time to this, and that's something that sponsors and CROs really appreciate. They don't like the PIs that only dedicate like 10 or 20% of their time to clinical research. Oftentimes, they'd much rather have someone with a little less experience who can dedicate more time, but it's up to you to communicate that to them. And oftentimes, what I've noticed, us in this research industry, us people doing research for a living, we're not very good at, well, I shouldn't say all of us, but generally we're not very good at promoting ourselves because we're very scientific minded. Like, that's actually what we do. We do research. Our minds are very analytical, and we need to become better at promoting ourselves, marketing ourselves, influencing, persuading other people to see our point of view and our perspective. And you got to find ways to do that. But try my two strategies and just keep trying it over and over and over and over and over again. Don't give up. Continue to keep the determination and just get that one study, that first study, and then from there you'll have no problem checking previous research experience on your box. Combine that with the 13 years of your research experience in general, and you are now an experienced principal investigator. Hopefully this helps. I want to give my clinical trial guru producers a shout out. It's Sarah Elizabeth Siegler, Resolve Research Solutions, Accurate Clinical Trials, Erdhart Clinical Trials, PTNR, Patrick Stone, Darshan Kulkarni, Biopharm Systems, Zymewire, Mozio, South Coast Clinical Trials, Breakthrough Clinical Trials, and St. Paul Medical Research Center in Miami, Florida. Thank you very much, and hopefully this helps answer your question. Dan from theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Take care.